So you're thinking about moving to Fort Worth, Texas, right? But you're not quite sure, the ins and the outs, the pros and the cons of living in Fort Worth, Texas. Well, you're gonna wanna make sure to stick around for this entire video, because in this video, I'm gonna be going over all the good and the bad of living in Fort Worth, Texas. And I want you to stick around to the very end, because I'm actually gonna go over a couple things that most people don't really talk about when it comes to living in Fort Worth, Texas. So if you want to know what the pros and cons are, make sure you stick around, because we're going to be getting after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Fort Worth, Texas, then you're going to want to make sure that you click that subscribe button and tap that little bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Fort Worth. My name is Travis Plum. I'm a licensed agent in DFW, and we get so many calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you and you and you and you and you and you and you every single day, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, make sure that you give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. That way we can make sure to get all of your questions answered and, of course, help you make a smooth move to Fort Worth. So, as I promised in this video, I'm born and raised here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Fort Worth is one of those places I hang my hat, and I absolutely love living there, and I think that you will too. But I'm gonna go over both the good and the bad in this video, but I wanted to start with the pros, because I absolutely love Fort Worth. I've lived here, my whole life. And one of the places that you're gonna wanna check out, and if you're a family, if you have a family, or if you're single, this is gonna be a perfect city for you, because they have both. The one place that you're gonna wanna check out is called the Stockyards. Now, if you haven't checked out the Stockyards, you gotta check it out. It's one of my favorite places in Fort Worth, Texas, because it's kind of like, you're living, unless you're living in the country, you may not see anything like this, but it's a really cool old school town where you can go and you can get all of your shopping out of the way. They have cool little mom and pop shops. They got the Lucchese store, so if you want to go get some cowboy or cowgirl boots, you're going to want to make sure that you go and check that out. And of course, they have barbecue spots. They have some of the best barbecue spots in all of Texas right there in the Stockyards. They have the bars, and then they have all sorts of other places that you can eat, burger joints and museums. And I was just there yesterday. I have a little 4-year-old girl and a soon-to-be 2-year-old girl, and I can't tell you how happy they were to go outside yesterday. It was sunny, it was 75 degrees, there wasn't a single cloud in the sky, and it seemed like everybody in Texas was just out in Fort Worth really enjoying their life. Everyone was out there playing, the kids were running around, and the really cool thing is even if you're an adult, it's still super cool, but they have a petting zoo. So if you have little kids and you want to go and you want to take them for an experience like they've never had before, the Stockyards is where you're going to want to do it. You can literally go walk up and down these old school streets where the streets are made out of brick. They have old cars lined up and down. They have horses and I'm talking huge longhorn cattle, just like walking up and down the streets. And if you're feeling frisky, you could even ride those longhorns. Or if you're not feeling so frisky, they actually have a couple little spots where the longhorns are tied up and the kids can hop on there, and they have a guy that does the rope thing and throws the rope around the bull, and the kids, they just love it. And another really cool thing about the Stockyards is they have this one place where you walk up to, and it's like a whole area full of horses. You can actually go horseback riding through Fort Worth, Texas. And you have to be 8 years old. So just in case you're wondering, how old do you have to be? 8 years old is that cutoff. So if you have children that are 8 and above, you can actually hop on these horses, and you can take these horses all around Fort Worth. So it's a really, really cool place. And I don't even think that me telling you could possibly even describe how amazing it is with all the food and the restaurants. And another thing about the Stockyards is they have this place called Billy Bob's Texas. This is one of my absolute favorite country bars in the world. I love to country dance. I've been dancing since I was 19 years old. I've been to dance halls all over the United States, and Billy Bob's is the world's largest dance hall. And it's not just a dance hall where you go and you just dance. I mean, that is definitely my favorite thing to do. But they even have inside of there, they have live concerts, like people like Garth Brooks, Reba McEntire, some really, really big names. And then they have Texas country music stars come in there on a nightly basis, and they have these most amazing performances. And if you really want to know, and you're feeling really frisky, inside that same dance hall, they have professional bull riding. So when you walk into the door and you open these big doors up, like right on the left-hand side, it opens up into this really, really big arena. So whether you're going to dance, whether you're going to have a couple beers at the bar, or whether you want to, really enjoy a concert, they have some people over here that are riding bulls, and it ain't for me. I won't even hop on an electric bull, but I for sure am not hopping on a real bull, but I do enjoy watching it. And my girls, they love watching it. They love being out in the stockyards, because this is one of those places that you absolutely have to check out. It's one of my favorite places. And then inside of the stockyards, okay, there are a couple other places that are really, really awesome. Inside of Fort Worth, you have the Cultural District, right? So the Cultural District is about 10 minutes away, okay? You have that, and then you have Six Flags, right? Six Flags is just, a 15, maybe a 20-minute drive. So, if you're looking for some fun and some amusement, Six Flags is definitely one of those places to go. Me and my kids, we actually have season passes. So with Six Flags, if you can spend, $5 a month, and you can actually have unlimited access to Six Flags. So if you have a bunch of kids, they make it really affordable for you to be able to go in there and have a good time. And when you walk into Six Flags in Arlington, they have some of the best, the best roller coasters. They've got the Batman that does all the flips and the spins. And then they have the Titan, which the Titan is one of the tallest roller coasters. They have this huge drop that just drops straight down, and it really gets your blood flowing. And of course, for the kids, they have an entire area for the kids to play, right? So as you're walking through, they have little rides for the kids. They have, the cotton candy, and they have the popcorn, and sometimes they even have these little places where you can actually go and you can get marshmallows and chocolate and crackers, and you can go over there, and on an open flame, you can actually have the kids like stick the stick through the wire, and they can make their own, they can melt their own, marshmallows and put them on the chocolate. So Six Flags is one of those big, pros. And of course, right across the street from Six Flags is Hurricane Harbor. If you're not sure what Hurricane Harbor is, it is a massive water park. If you have children, or if you're just looking for a good time yourself, you're gonna wanna make sure that you check out Six Flags. You're gonna wanna make sure, of course, that you check out Hurricane Harbor in the summertime. And then just across the way from Six Flags is AT&T Stadium, right? This is where the Dallas Cowboys play football. And if you've never been to Dallas Cowboys Stadium, I'm telling you, it's incredible how big this stadium is. It's epic. I actually I've been to many Cowboys games before, but I went to a George Strait concert one time, and it was probably one of the best experiences that I've had when it comes to country music concerts. And inside of this stadium, there was 105,000 people. Could you imagine what that looks like? This place was absolutely packed from the floor all the way up to that third and fourth level. There was 105,000 people, that were just in there having a great time. And then right next door to that, they have Globe Life Park. So this is where the Texas Rangers play baseball, and they actually just newly developed Globe Life Park. It's huge, it's beautiful. It's brand new. They actually just had the World Series there. And if you're in Fort Worth, this area is about 15 minutes away. So from living in Fort Worth, driving over to Six Flags and AT&T Stadium and Globe Life Park, it's literally right up the street. You're talking about a 10, 15-minute drive, and if there's a little bit of traffic, maybe you're going to get up into that 20 minutes. So if you're living in Fort Worth, one of the pros is that everything is just super close, and especially some of the biggest, entertainment spots in Dallas Fort Worth. And then I wanted to also tell y'all about Sundance Square, right? So Sundance Square it's one of those pedestrian friendly walking places. It's right downtown in Fort Worth, and it's absolutely beautiful. If you're looking for a really good nightlife and you like going out to the bars and bar hopping and shopping and outside patio music and bar rooftops, then you're going to want to make sure that while you're here and you're living in Fort Worth, that you check out Sundance Square, because it's one of those places that you can really go out and have a good time, whether you want to go there during the day and get a lot of your shopping done, or you may just want to go there at night and check out the bar scene. And there's a little place right in the middle of downtown where the home of the Sundance Square is, and there's just this big open space with beautiful art, big art paintings like all over the buildings. It's just a really fun place, that you're gonna wanna check out. And then, so you have the Stockyards, 7 minutes away is Sundance Square, and then from the Sundance Square to the Cultural District is about 7 or a 10-minute drive as well. And the Cultural District, is really one of my favorite spots as well, because growing up, I would go to the Science Museum, okay? And the Cultural District has, they have all sorts of museums. They have the Science Museum, they have the Cowgirl Museum, they have, the Modern Art Museum, and they have all sorts of just really cool places to go. But when I was growing up, I remember driving into Fort Worth, and it's definitely changed, not too much. Fort Worth is still a pretty old school town, but you can go there, and I would go into that the Science Museum, and there they have dinosaurs, and they have just everything, and they have really good school programs and stuff like that as well. So if your children are into space and dinosaurs and like all the science, you're going to want to make sure that you bring them into that Cultural District, so that way they can really enjoy and absorb all of the knowledge that little part of Fort Worth has to offer. And then they have Dickey Stadium. Dickey Stadium is, it's pretty big. It's nothing on AT&T Stadium or Globe Life Park, but it's a pretty big stadium where they have, concerts, they have amusement, they have theaters and opera and all these different sorts of plays. So, you're going to really want to make sure that you get down into the Cultural District, because, it really is cultural. They have, they have statues, and they have, art that's all over the place. It's just a really cool vibe, and it's really beautiful. And then they also have the Botanic Garden. If you've never been to like one of these gardens, like the Botanic Garden, you got to go there. It's a great place for you to walk around. It's super peaceful and very tranquil, and it's one of those places that I love to take my daughters to walk around, check out all the beautiful flowers and just everything that they have going on. And of course, it's also a really great spot for you to go into and get some good photo opportunities. That is, if you want some really good photo opportunities, this is definitely the place that you're going to want to go and check out. Also, just from Fort Worth, if you drive about another 10 minutes, everything's kind of like in a circle, right? If you drive another 10 minutes, they have the Fort Worth Zoo. Now, I'm not just saying this because I love Fort Worth and I love Dallas, but the Fort Worth Zoo is probably the most epic zoo, the best zoo in the entire country. I take my kids there all the time. Last time that we went, it was really a cool experience, because I took my babies in there, and normally when I've been through there, the giraffes, they weren't necessarily like around to feed them, right? But when I took them there last time, it was probably the best experience that I've ever had, because I really love seeing my kids and how happy they are feeding the giraffes. But the giraffes were literally like right in our faces, right? And we went and we bought some, like they have a bunch of lettuce and stuff that you can buy like right there, and you can actually feed these giraffes. And if you've never seen a giraffe and how long, their tongues are like 16 inches long. So they would literally be like, bleh, and they would like grab the lettuce from my daughter's hands. And like my little 4-year-old, she was just freaking loving it. Now my 1.5-year-old, I don't think she was digging it very much. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely one of those experiences like, Yeah, even me as an adult, I was like, I don't know if I want these giraffes, getting a hold of my hands either. So I could totally understand why she was kind of freaked out by it. But the whole zoo is great. They have rhinos, they have elephants, like epic elephants and tigers and lions and gorillas and monkeys, and they have everything there. So if you want to check out a cool zoo, make sure that you check that out. And then of course, I wanted to touch base on the job market in Fort Worth. Fort Worth it's really, really blowing up. So if you're coming in, from out of state and you're looking for a good place to work, Fort Worth has got a lot of really, really, really good opportunities for you. They have a lot of buildings there where you can work out of downtown. So if you've heard of WeWork, they have a WeWork station downtown. So if you don't want to work from home and you prefer, that downtown lifestyle and you want a good view, check out one of the WeWorks down there, because you can get a membership for, like $300 a month or $350 a month, and you get like that common space. And then you can also, spend as much money as you want. You can get a high rise and a big office for yourself. But the job market, it's super strong in Fort Worth. So if you're thinking about moving here and you want a good opportunity to find some work and decent decent pay and wages, this is one of those places, that you're gonna wanna check out, right? So those are just some of my favorite things about Fort Worth. Those are some of the pros. And, of course, I gotta talk about the elephant in the room on the cons, right? Everyone who's coming here to Texas is always talking about the heat, how hot it is. Well, I've done a couple of combat tours over in Iraq, so that's 130 degrees. So I don't really think that it's all that bad, right? But if you're living up north, if you're living in New York or Chicago or someplace, where it gets really, really cold, that could potentially be something that, could be a con. In the summertime, sometimes it can get up to, 105, 110 degrees. But again, personally, last year, I don't think there was that many days that actually got up to 100. So you're gonna have a lot of days that are in that upper 80s and upper 90s. But when it comes to getting like excruciatingly hot and all that good stuff, there are gonna be some days where it can get excruciatingly hot, but for the most part, that's just, that's not the case. But the weather could be hot, and then sometimes, like we just had this like ice age storm come out of nowhere where it got to -3 degrees. I'm 34, I've been here my whole life. That's never happened. It'll probably never happen again. But we do have some wild Texas, but we also have some wildly beautiful weather. In the springtime, in the fall time. It's just, you can literally surf in October. Like I have my boat out in Louisville. You can literally surf out in the middle of October because it's still 75, 85 degrees. So you have, a couple months in the middle of the summer that are, kind of hot. But then you have a couple months that are kind of cold. But for the most part, the weather here in Texas is kind of a beautiful thing. And also the school districts, right? I have a lot of people who are reaching out, asking me, Travis, hey, what about the schools in Fort Worth? And, it's one of those things that Fort Worth has some areas that have really great school districts and private schools. But of course, there are other areas where the school districts, aren't quite so good, which is why one of those reasons why we want you to call us or text us or shoot us an email. That way we can really, help you navigate around Fort Worth, because if you're looking for specific schools or you're looking for specific neighborhoods to, kind of stay out of because of the school districts, you got to be careful when it comes to, looking for your schools and where you're buying your house and all that good stuff, because you need to make sure that it's tailored to exactly what you're looking for. So yes, some of the schools are a little bit, lower on that board of school districts, but there are also, again, some really nice schools out there as well. Now, being in Fort Worth, a lot of people, they want to talk about the traffic and they want to talk about all the construction that's going on, right? So there is a lot of construction, going on in Fort Worth. And as far as it comes to traffic, right? It just really depends on when you're driving through. So if you're comparing, traffic to LA or New York or even downtown Dallas, the traffic is just not necessarily all that bad. Now, there are times where, of course, you're going to be stuck in traffic. So if you're in Fort Worth and you're trying to get out to DFW Airport, you want to make sure that you map that out so that way you're not running behind for your flights. Or if you're trying to get to Dallas or, just trying to get to work in general, make sure, that you always map out those trips, because sometimes, with all the construction and the highways and all the stuff that they're building out there, traffic can be a little bit of a problem. And then of course, public transportation. Fort Worth, really, they do have some public transportation, but you know, relative to some of these other cities, you know, like LA or New York, they're kind of lacking in that public transportation. Now, I do know for a fact that they're really working hard on getting the public transportation a little bit more up to par. So if you're looking for, you know, public transportation and you may not have a vehicle or something like that yourself, or you just like hopping on the train or hopping on the bus, they do have those options. But you know, for the most part, you know, you may want to just catch an Uber or get you a Lyft to get down to work or wherever it is that you're going, because the public transportation, it still needs a little bit of work, I would say. Now, the last couple things that I really wanted to talk about that most people don't talk about, okay, are allergies. All right. You know, in Texas, the pollen is crazy. So if you have really, really bad allergies, that's something that I want you to be aware of, because, you know, sometimes the pollen is through the roof. And I mean, people's allergies go crazy. I mean, we were literally working with a client in Fort Worth, and the lady was like, I promise, you know, I just have really, really bad allergies. It's nothing else. But she had, you know, she had her mask on and she was sneezing and she was coughing. It's just, sometimes, you know, the allergies, they can kind of get wild out here. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that you got to be aware of. And the last thing, you know, that I want to talk to you about is obviously, you know, Texas, we got a lot of standing water out here sometimes. So the mosquitoes, depending on where you live, can kind of be a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously you want to reach out to us so we can help you kind of navigate around that, but sometimes there's nothing that we can do. The mosquitoes can be kind of bad out here. You know, where I live here in Euless, which is about 15 minutes from Fort Worth. And to be honest with you, I've never really had any problems out here, but you know, if you go out more to the country, that could be something that you could potentially have a problem with. So, you know, that's it for the list of pros and cons of Fort Worth. And if you really enjoyed this video, please make sure that you comment below whether it's good or bad. If there's something that I left out in Fort Worth and you live in Fort Worth, you know, make sure that you comment below. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Let us know what you want to see in some of our videos. And also make sure that you check out some of our other videos, because we have other videos on Keller and all the surrounding cities in Fort Worth. So if Fort Worth isn't jiving for you and you don't think that you want to live right downtown in Fort Worth, make sure that you check out some of our other videos. And again, you know, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everything. And whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, then make sure that you give us a call, shoot us a text. That way we can help you make a smooth move to Texas. See you there.